We're live, Mr. Wade. Mr.
Thank you.
Chairman.
Thank you. Good night. Good night to our viewers and listeners, both at home and abroad. And welcome again to our Belizean Affairs shows number 360. 360. And it's always a pleasure, Leonard, to sit in your company, my brother.
Same here, sir.
Um,
Pleasure's mine.
yes,
Pleasure.
there's a lot going on in our beautiful jewel. And for a point of correction, our chairman for tonight is Mr. Gregory Brackett. But as usual, as time is of an essence, he's not showing up right now, but he might be in the back queuing up something. And if he tune in, we will graciously hand the show over to him because he is the Monday night chairman. So, on that note, I will do temporary uh, chairman until he shows up. Leonard,
Yes, sir.
as usual, we go straight to our program and we always start with a prayer, then followed by a reading, Leonard. So I would like you to brace us with a prayer and then the reading. Okay?
I'll just bow
Thank
my
you.
head. I'll just go ahead and bow my head, Mr. Chairman. Yes, sir. Okay. I'll just go ahead and bow my head and say a prayer.
Yes, sir.
Divine loving Father, as we come before thy presence once more, we ask that thou mayest hear our supplications, that thou mayest consider our thoughts, our hearts, thou knowest the desires of our beings. We pray that thou mayest bless our family members, friends, and loved ones wherever they are, as if they were each mentioned by name and number. And we pray that thou mayest bless our country of Belize, its people and leadership, all Belizeans at home and abroad. We also pray that thou mayest bless this country of the United States, its people and leadership. Please continue to abide with us, and please bless the rest of humanity, especially those people who are in harm's way, loving Father, those who are in war zones, hurricane, uh, tornadoes, as well as flooding, earthquakes, and all manner of pestilence and devastation on the face of this earth. Please continue to be merciful unto us and give us the words to speak tonight during the course of this program, that whatever we have to say may accrue to the well-being of our country of Belize and others. For we ask these mercies in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Can you proceed with the reading there, Leonard, please?
Yes, sir, I will. Our reading for tonight will come from Romans chapter 2 and starting at verse 1. And it reads as follows: Therefore, thou art inexcusable, O man, whoever thou art that judgest. For wherein thou judgest another, thou condemnest thyself. For thou that judgest does the same thing. Verse 2: But we are sure that the judge of God is according to truth against them which commit such things. Verse 3: And thinkest thou this, O man, that judgest them which do such things, and does the same, that thou shalt escape the judgment of God? Verse 4: Or despisest thou the riches of his goodness and forbearance and long suffering, not knowing that the goodness of God leadeth thee to repentance? And verse 5 reads as follows: But after a hardness and in, and after a hardness and penitence, impertinent heart treasures up unto thyself, wrath against the day of wrath and revolution of the righteous judgment of God. And that's the ending of our reading for tonight. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, for giving me the opportunity to participate in the prayer and the reading. And I yield
Thank
back
you.
to
Thank you, Leonard. And then I will graciously yield to our real chairman for tonight, Mr. Mr. Gregory Brackett. I'll graciously you yield to me, Leonard. Then now I'll yield to graciously yield to our chairman for tonight. Mr. Chairman, we just finished the reading, Mr. Chairman. So, I pass the show over to you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Wade. I want to say good night to both of
Welcome,
you
sir.
gentlemen. It's good to be back.
good night, sir.
I want
Good
to
night.
say good night to you, the people at home and abroad. Welcoming you to this our 360th episode of Belizean Affairs. Gentlemen and people at home and abroad, there's a lot going on in the country of Belize. And tonight, I want to bring clarity to some of these issues and to show real double standards when it comes to crime and control and corruption in this country. So tonight, I will start off with the leader of the opposition.
My colleague, for myself, who thief Budna? Anybody know? Who thief Budna? Who beat her? Who abduct her? Who carry her across this country? Who thief Budna? But I'm not here to talk about who thief Budna. I'm here to talk about Honorable. No, I won't talk about who thief Budna. Member for judge, I won't ask who thief Budna. Nobody know who thief Budna.
Members, can we please continue on the...
If you thief the former delegate, the former member for mess up, if you thief her, I can know who thief her. And you could keep it, but it's not. When we ask our police, our member, the government who is responsible for the policy agenda for this country questions, the Prime Minister, immediately he sees it as a political attack.
Gentlemen and people at home and abroad, tonight I want to bring clarity of double standards and discrimination. And tonight for you, Mr. Wade and Mr. Brackett, I want to stick to the 5 minutes rule because there's a lot that we have to really put out there to the people. With that said, Mr. Wade, I want to go to you first and the tape that I just showed.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Again, it's a pleasure sitting in your company. Likewise, Leonard. This is an issue, Mr. Chairman, that we have been talking from the inception, from day one, right? We have voiced our concern, and we have talked about the way the whole scenario played out, as for item by item, right? And as to where we at as we speak. Even as we speak, when I say as we speak, that tape that you just played with for me, she's just, trying to, keep the fire burning. But I think that she should have done that initially, right? When she saw it on the initial stage, and she should have voiced her opinion then, and voiced her concern, because it's no, you know, it's not something that people haven't seen and people haven't formulated their own opinion. She's asking who thief Budna, right? It shouldn't even be that form, right? And especially in the house, in this in the manner she had presented it. She should have called out about the report, right? She should have called out the whole scenario, how it played out, and where we at uh, uh, as we speak. So that, in my personal view, was uncalled for. Um, in all essence, we have speak about this, like I said, and we are still waiting. We are still waiting to see, who committed that crime, as she put it, who thief Budna. We here on this program, know that what had happened. So we are just waiting, Mr. Chairman, for them to come clean to the nation and the world as to what had happened. And on that tape there, Mr. Chairman, I call on the 2-hour medium. I call on the defense for Mr. Budna, Mr. Budna's attorney, to do the right thing, right, and hold this government accountable, and get as much evidence as they can get, as much evidence, because it's out there, Mr. Chairman. All the evidence is out there. So, like I say, we here in this program is waiting to hear who are the culprits, who are the people that had committed that atrocity against Mr. Budna. Back to you, Mr. Chairman. I'll stick to the 5-minute rule. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Weir. I go to you, Mr. Brackett.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. When this incident first took place, everybody thought that, based on what we had seen and understood about the case, that the first report that was given to the Prime Minister by the
Commissioner,
by the then Commissioner, Mr. Rosado, would have or should have been sufficient as a means of police investigation to inform the Prime Minister as to what had happened. The Prime Minister decided that he was not well served by the quality of information that was provided to him, when in fact there should have been a lot more investigation material brought to his attention for him to be able to figure out where culpability lies, and for him to, as in his own words, accept that report, review that report, and then decide whether or not he's going to discuss it with Cabinet, so that he and Cabinet can go ahead and do what the judicial system is legally empowered to do, which had and should have had nothing to do with him and Cabinet to start with. But for some justifiable reason, he wanted to see where that arrow was pointing in terms of culpability. So he pushed his nose under the tent, the legal tent I'm talking about, the judiciary tent, which is a separate branch of government, which has its own authority under Section 20, as well as under Section 94 and 95. Unlimited jurisdiction the court has in terms of dealing with these matters. And if anybody under Section 20 allege that their right is being infringed upon, may be infringed upon, or that any other person on behalf of somebody else, like in the case of us on this particular program, or anyone else in Belize, who would have alleged that Mr. Budna was done an unconstitutional wrong by the powers of state, according to the bits and pieces of information that we could have perceived, then we could have actually said to the court that an injustice was done, and the court has to entertain any credible information in order to bring justice to that situation. The fact is that from the time that matter was dealt with back then, the Prime Minister turned around and said that they needed to have another senior police officer do a more detailed investigation, which was followed through. And the outcome of that investigation was to exculpate the commissioner and all potential possibility of others that were involved, because there was no culpability found after that senior police officer did her investigation. And according to the Prime Minister, she made 2 recommendations to them, which should not have happened in the first place, because it is not her place to make any determination as to who is culpable or not, and what resolutions should follow by her recommendation. It's a legal matter. And the police department should have rendered that documentation to the DPP, who, within the bounds of all existing constitution, is the proper channel for that matter to have been put to. And it was not. It was sent to the Prime Minister, and the Prime Minister said that he was recommended by the same police officer, the senior police officer, to do another investigation. In other words, let's kill some more time, because I didn't spend my time fulfilling the obligation that was posed on me, that is, to investigate and produce the information. The Prime Minister should not have accepted, even if somebody wants to give him that report, the investigative report. He should not have entertained the idea of having anything to do with it or handle it. In the first place, by so doing, he's throwing the case. That matter, when it goes to a court for judicial review or for judicial dispensation, the defense lawyers could just as well claim that that matter is suspect, because it doesn't have a proper chain of a proper chain of what do you call it now? Custody. Once that document fails to follow the proper chain of custody, it can be kicked out of the court. A good lawyer could have that matter overturned and get the client off if they ever get to the point of figuring out who instigated the matter, who directed to carry out such activity, who did such activity, how come police officers were involved. That we saw with our own eyes, by the way, because I remember seeing a corporal who was suborned and who was compromised by virtue of him having to knuckle under the directive of somebody else that came to him and told him that he had to, stay out of whatever they were doing, because they came with higher powers authorized to them. But because they have the 5 minutes limit, I want to make sure I don't pass it, so I'll just defer back to the chairman, and hopefully I get another chance to add additional input, because there's a lot to be added to this stuff. We need to know who engineered the process that it got to where it ended up. And while we are chasing after the Budna kidnapping, we're not dealing with the substance of the person who set it in motion. Are you, Mr. Chairman?
Thank you, Mr. Brackett.
You're welcome,
But
sir.
it goes far beyond that. I said many times on this show, we're dealing with a discriminative government who discriminate against certain individuals. To them, Mr. Budna is nothing. To them, Mr. Budna was violating certain elements that was hampering the progress of the government or certain government ministers. So to them, he was nothing. But as I said when we opened the show tonight, I want to show the discriminative side of the government, especially the use of executive power and the double standards, because I need to go back so the people can clearly see that what the government is doing is a cover up. And a cover up can only happen when you have a criminal act that does not fall within the hands of the right department. The DPP is the one, after investigation by the police force, who is supposed to decide if any criminal activity took place. That decision is not left up to the Prime Minister of this country or his cabinet or the House. And I will show you, because the question was asked before in a certain case, a specific allegation. Let's go to the tape.
And what struck me was that I saw a news item where the Prime Minister had said certain concerns were put to me. I waited 2 weeks to call the minister. And when I spoke to him, it didn't seem to me like what he was talking about was of any matter or moment to be excited about. What I'm saying is that the Prime Minister should have said, given certain concerns expressed by people, the matter should have been turned over to the police for a proper investigation. And then if the person doesn't want to bring a formal complaint or is saying things like that about the minister, and the minister is saying those things are not true, then he can sue the person for libel. But one I would like to say as well, I'm not leaving the purported victims off the hook either. If your life was threatened, if you were the subject of predatory behavior by anybody, then you need to report that matter to the police and file a formal complaint and say, I request charges in this matter. You have to do that too.
While I agree with the gentleman, I also disagree with him, because there are certain cases, as in Mr. Budna's one, where he cannot report the matter because you saw what happened to him. So,
Mr. Chairman? Oh, sorry.
go ahead, sir.
I was going to take a piggyback ride on you just now. I also agree with the gentleman in certain aspects, as well as disagree with him in the instance of where our police department is so deeply corrupted that people fear for their own lives to go and make a report at the police station because they may not even leave the station thereafter. You go to make a report on a matter at the police station, which is your constitutional right, and they will turn that intent of yours to make a report into a confrontation with you and them, and you could end up in the peace house or in jail just for trying to do the right thing, which is make a report, because without a report, no legal follow-through can successfully be achieved. So they control both ends of the process, and they use intimidation on the public so that the public even fear to go and make a report. And even after you make a report, the very same police officers have their own stooges that they send out there to go and try and cause you harm if you are trying to put any of their jobs on the line for their misconduct. That's not the way it's supposed to operate. People are supposed to be able to be free enough and and have the level of fortitude and strength and conviction to believe that the police department is not going to turn them into a further victim just for trying to follow through and make their report so they can take the matter to court. And as you pointed out, Mr. Chairman, in the case of Mr. Budna, how can he take any matter to the court as of right now? Okay? I yield back, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Wade?
I would like to, Mr. Chairman, thank you. It's so true, Leonard. You're right on the money. We see how it has been done in the country of Belize, right? And then they use that as a technicality that hey, well, this gentleman didn't make any report, and this one didn't, and all of the above that you mentioned on the report, as per that, seems that that's the direction the perifit guy is leaning to, but we here on this program, an initial stage, we had called on the family. I personally had mentioned too, I'd called on the family of Mr. Budna to go and make a report. Since that go and make a report, initial report, since that Mr. Budna couldn't have, I don't know if they had entertained any family member of Mr. Budna. I don't know that in terms of taking that report. But you rightfully says, how can he, and he's not in the country to make a report? So again, I put that burden wholly and solely on his attorney, his attorneys. They know the right process. But that's a very a critical issue there, Mr. Chairman, right? That in terms of a report, we have seen instances that people go in to make, like you mentioned there, Leonard, people go into the station to make a report about a certain issue, and they in turn get arrested for going and making that report. Some of them getting their telephone taken away from them, and in confrontation, and then bam, they get arrested just because they're going to either inquire about something or make a report.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So we've seen that played out. Right? We see how corrupt these people are. So let's hope and pray, Mr. Chairman, and Leonard, quickly, that the family or a family member of Mr. Budna or some good Samaritan went and make a report of what he saw and what he knew had taken place at that very same moment. And hopefully that we hope and pray that the police do his job and take that report from that individual, whoever that person is. Right? So, Mr. Chairman, on that tape that you played there, I could say you're limiting, you giving us our 5 minutes, and I yield back to you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Wade.
Mr. Chairman, on what Mr. Wade just said, can I add one little comment? The police is protecting the police because the special unit of the police is tasked with the privilege and opportunity and authority to carry out special operations. And it appears that what happened to Mr. Budna was a special operations directed from within the police structure itself. And as an end result, there's no way the police is going to police the police, as Mr. Chairman have always asked, and Mr. Wade have always asked in the past. Who is policing the police? The police will not police the police in this particular instance because they are covering up for the highest level people in their own department, such as the police commissioner, the assistant commissioner, all of them that are involved, including the police officer that walked away from the scene of the crime. And it was his job to see to it that he rendered assistance to that gentleman and call back up to make sure that they didn't allow what happened to that gentleman to have continued to happen and get worse, as well as the police officer whom the assistant commissioner of police, who at one time was the temporary commissioner, said that he was the person that signed the interdiction of Mr. Flores, who was seen on the tape. What about the interdiction of the other officers who were seen on the tape as well? They know who those people are, but they are covering up for the police. And I would say not only the police department, the head as well, and other big people in the government under the power of policies of state. They are violating the Constitution. They are violating the preamble of the Constitution. They are violating basic human rights. They are violating international human rights. They are violating international human trafficking because they took that gentleman from Belize, which is one country, to another second country and delivered him to police with files. So they are all
Mr.
protecting each
Brackett,
other and the system.
Mr. Brackett, the police department has been doing human trafficking from 2018 under the false pretense of SOEs.
Exactly.
But I want to say that I can prove Mr. Perfit wrong. And I will prove the police department wrong when they say that the individual has to make a complaint for them to do an investigation or an arrest. I will tell you why. When these allegable gangbanger portray a gun on social media, does anyone goes into the police station to make a report on them? No, there is no one. The police sees that on social media and goes out, and what they do, arrest these young men. So what Mr. Perfit is saying, I totally disagree with him. The police can do an investigation once they hear of any criminal act. There is a thing called probable cause that give them the authority to question any individual if they deem them about to commit a crime or has committed a crime. And I will show you why I'm saying this.
Mr. Chairman, in addition to what you have said, which is correct, within a certain parameters, outside of those that certain parameters, the police must have RAS.
That is also correct. That
Without
is
that,
why I'm stating
without that,
probably
their effort is
cause.
illegal. Okay?
They
I'm sorry,
must
sir.
have probably
okay.
cause, or what we say as in RAS, reasonable articulable suspicion. But here I'm going to go to a tip so you, the people at home and abroad, can see exactly what we are talking about here in Belizean affair, especially when I personally, not from my belief, but from the words of these individuals, specifically states what should be done for the record. So let's go to the tape and hear what the former commissioner had to say.
I saw the Facebook post, but in terms of a report from her, there is none.
Will you guys seek to follow up that Facebook post? We've seen in previous cases where it just takes a Facebook post, which would be enough for police to at least launch an investigation or do further inquiries.
It's different, Mr. Lopez. We're not in the business of bush hunting people. If it is that she had a complaint of rape against the minister, then her duty is to come forward to the police. We don't go after people like that. Now, if I see a Facebook post with people fighting, that is a matter where the police can be the complainant. I will take that up. But in terms of a report like what she's posting on social media, it's not our job to pursue her and try to convince her to come in and give us a report, no.
Bogus.
Now, people at home and abroad, you heard what the past commissioner said. If he saw a Facebook post with people fighting, is this why the government, when you ask them questions about the tape, they say, we didn't saw the tape? Because if we go with what the ex-commissioner said, it is plain that we are seeing someone getting kidnapping on the tape. So why are nobody criminally charged or or criminally held accountable? Mr. Wade, I go to you. That is where the double
So
standard comes in.
thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you very much. You said it all. Double standard, right? Certain crime is arrestable on certain portion of society, and certain crimes that is done by certain sector of society is null and void, right? Um,
Both standard
it's
table.
as simple as that, right? So you find out that some big names they commit murder, they knock down people, and they and these people, traffic accidents, and they people get killed. Um, you see all these things happen, Mr. Chairman, by certain sector of society, some certain people that holds office, that sits on some a high seat. You see it happen that they commit these crimes, and some of them heinous crimes, and some of them doesn't even reach the court. Some of them haven't even been arrested, right? Like it goes in through one ear from the police and comes out the other. So you rightfully says double standard, and that's a very dear thing to that struck a core on me, that in terms of injustice, you, like I have always said, that in Belize you have two class of people, the rich one and the poor one, right? And you have two class of people that will always hold accountable for certain things. The poor people will always be held accountable and go to jail, get persecuted, sometimes innocently. A lot of people sitting right now, Mr. Chairman, in prison innocently because of the same double standard you're talking about. And a lot of them high up in society walking around laughing at who had committed crimes in this country, and maybe still continue to commit crimes in this country, right? But who investigate them? Like you says, Mr. Chairman, who will investigate the police? Is the police going to investigate I'm just saying that, right? Because in Belize, a lot of these people, for instance, the commissioner is appointed by someone who likes him, someone who, and he has to be in government, someone who feels like when they do wrong, that this commissioner have them back, and they could always tell this commissioner what to do. So we will appoint him. We like him. Oh, that's a damn good man. People's United for Mr. Rosaro is a damn good man. He got way back. But Mr. So and so, no, we can't trust that man. UDP, same crap. When they're in power, I know that's just one seat I mentioned, right? The commissioner's seat. And they set people around in this government that will cover up for their heinous crimes, that will cover up for their wrongdoings. How do you think these people, these CEOs and things, get the taxpayers' money? How do you think that happened? They have done some kind of favors for some minister, whether on the PUP side or the UDP side. So yes, this is a damn good man. So let's give him. He's the CEO, or she's the CEO, because he or she got way back. Commissioner got way back. That crap got to stop, right? That's all I got to say. And the whole thing with Mr. Bodnar, Mr. Chairman, stinks. And I say it again for the last time, that let the truth be told. man up for the crimes and the things that you have done, whoever had done it. And I know it's no ghost that they're portraying it to be, because what we had seen on these tapes, Mr. Chairman, that nobody, who know the talk, we don't know who know the talk about. Mr.
Mr.
Budna
Wade,
abduct himself. Mr. Budna beat up himself. And he do all his things to himself. And Mr. Budna do pedophile and, and he deserve everything. Because you hear that in the house, You heard that in the house, by some. You heard that in the Senate, by some. Back to you, Mr. Chairman. Say no more.
Mr. Wade, it is close to Halloween. We are getting tricked and we won't get no treats. I go to you, Mr. Brackett.
Thank you very much, Mr.
They
Chairman.
don't like when what I got to say now, Mr. Chairman. They don't like when because you know what? I call a spade. And I call truth, and who likes to hear the truth? No one wants to hear the truth. Sorry about that, guys. Back to you, Mr. Chairman. Sorry,
that's
man.
all right. That's all right. The truth of the matter, though, is that when the police investigate the police for helping to commit crimes under the color of law on behalf of a third party or outside person outside of the police, but who have more influence than even the top police, to the point of suborning that top police to lie in public and make a fool of yourself to other people who are watching him and seeing him and hearing him. And then he also gets suspended by the highest executive authority in the country.
Take that back, Mr. Chairman. I mean, Leonard, please quick, because he didn't suspend him. He suspended himself at the end. He suspended himself.
That was the secondary or backup that they gave to us. Okay? That's what they tried to tell us after the fact.
Yes, sir.
The Prime Minister himself came and said he put the man on leave
45 days
because of the bad report that he received from the man. So after I start getting a lot of flack from people who want me to pay attention, where he think not me to pay attention, and realize that they got caught flat-footed, he turned around and said, well, no, the man, let me put the man on leave. The man asked to go up and leave. No, this is when they don't bring the man back, These jackals and scoundrels think that all of you out there are on punch at dodos, right? With this sleepwalk. But anyway, leave that part alone. The point is, though, Mr. Chairman, if the police is supposed to investigate the police, and the highest person in the police department, both the full commissioner himself, as well as the temporary commissioner that was put in place while he was on leave for those few days that he was, as well as Mr. Gamboa, who leads the special unit from where the gun was retrieved, with the authority of some superior officer that commanded, not only requested of those gentlemen who signed or helped to sign it out or process it, but who commanded them to allow that process to be consummated by somebody who had just came out of interdiction. That of itself is suspect. But within 24 hours of the Prime Minister having a beef with Mr. Budna, all this crap that we are now discussing and hearing about was put in place expeditiously within less than 48 hours. It takes somebody with power, authority, and the maxi to put something like that in motion, and to have it, as of today date that we are discussing it, still being played out, with lack of culpability being found by the police investigators, them at the highest level of the police department, from commissioner all the way down. There's no culpability being found, to the point where the last report requested for them to have another investigation because that particular individual, for whatever the reason, didn't have the knowledge, capability, authority, or whatever she may have been lacking, or probably didn't want to get herself tainted with the craziness that she probably found out that was behind the scene. So she asked for somebody else to, do another investigation. And she asked that she be relieved from that particular effort. Okay? She was given a hot potato that she couldn't handle, control, and or do justice by. So she did the best she could, which is pass contact. Or are we being lied to by the Prime Minister that what he's saying that was in that report really does not exist in that report, and that report could have just as well been a professionally done report that pointed to somebody high up into the government authority, suborning the powers of government to commit crimes under the color of law and to exculpate all participants. Because for all intents and purposes, that's what the Prime Minister is trying to tell us he understands from that report. Nobody was found guilty, or the report no points at nobody. So why, if the report no point at nobody, why never send that report back like he did with the commissioner's report? And then at that same time, ask for another special investigation to be done by a more credible source, probably even outsiders. And somebody had proposed by Judge Lucas, former Judge Lucas, or somebody of that caliber. But they're killing time because they expect this matter is going to blow away. The more they sit down on it and does nothing about it, the more they expect that it will go away, but they fail to understand that this matter is not just local, it's international. Are you back,
Mr. Brackett?
Yes, sir.
It cannot go away. Mr. Budna's attorneys are suing. If they call the acting commissioner to testify, he cannot lie under oath when there is a videotape with him specifying that he placed Mr. Flowers an interdiction because he was the only one identified. So tell me now, how will it go away when you have one of your top brass, which is Mr. Bart Jones, stipulating that one of the person in the videotape was identified
as a police officer, and was interdicted by him. But the previous commissioner is saying that no police officer was involved. He can guarantee
but yet
no police officer was involved.
As I said earlier, Mr. Brackett, we want to bring it out in the open. We want to show the double standards. We want to show the discrimination. And we want to show how far this present government will go to protect its own. Let's not forget, he had a conversation with Mr. Budna before this thing happened. And I will say this, it's the same type of conversation he was having with other news reporter. And I want you to hear what he had to say. People at home and abroad, make no mistake, it's the same scenario, it's the same road of protecting their own.
I think we need to be careful how we handle this, all of us, and you also, the media included, because many of you are not without sin. So it is we need to be careful whilst we set these standards and being the morality police. But yes, I believe. But it doesn't matter. You provide a a common good to the country by providing the news. So you also have certain ethical standards that are expected from you. But we're not going to argue about that. The point that I'm making, or that we need to make, is that we need to now really start to talk about setting up some standards. That has not been done, and especially when it comes to the use and misuse of social media, that we all have a responsibility, and also to give an example to the rest of the country. But at the same time,
I will stop the tape right there.
Out of here with that, Prime Minister. He's feigning ignorance and he's trying to overplay his hand again. Because what he's proposing to go and make laws to stifle or guide the reporters or anybody else or us is contrary to the Constitution. But as usual, they don't care about the
Mr. Brackett,
Constitution.
that was mentioned in another matter. But that was the identical thing he was saying to Mr. Budna in the football field
Exactly.
before this incident took place. Now, you heard him said we have to be careful about social media. But isn't social media the same platform the police goes on asking the citizen of this country to help them in matters they cannot solve? So, again, as I was saying, it's showing double standards. It's only good for them when they need the help, but when you have anything that can bring them down, they want to silence the press and silence the people from exposing what is happening. Mr. Wade, I go to you.
That tape there with that guy, like I've always been saying, as for me, nothing that comes out of that guy's mouth that I believe, right? And I take every word with a grain of salt. You ever say every word with a grain of salt, based on his track record in terms of speaking out, in terms of coming to the media, right? So, it's sad to see that, when you are caught, right? When you are caught, that you have a lot of things to say, right? That really doesn't make sense, right? So, Mr. Chairman, the Mr. Briceño, in my humble opinion, you see how he behaves when questions are asked to him that he should really answer and be factual and be truthful. We see how he behaves. Yeah, no, none of us is without sin. You are not there to be talking all that stuff. Speak the truth, right? Say the right thing. Then people say, yeah, that man, he tells the truth. Because look what happened, right? He's speaking the truth. But if you constantly telling lies and trying to cover up and shunning away from this and shunning away from that and blaming this one and blaming that one and don't want to answer the question, the proper way, right? And that's the way he operates, right? So, it's sad. It's sad to see, at least to me, it's sad to see how a person could always be lying, and feel no way about it. When asked questions, he shuns it off and move on to another something that the reporter haven't even asked him about, right? So, the whole thing doesn't make sense, Mr. Chairman. So, like you says, the beef that he had previously before the abduction, he wasn't the only one that Budna was talking about. in the in the Orange Walk district, right? In Orange Walk, the area representatives, the ministers. He was not. He wasn't the only one that Budna was shedding some kind of light on. So whatever that Mr. Budna, whatever item Mr. Budna was on, seemed like it was going to be coming out, right? The nation was going to know. So they nipped him. They nipped him before he could have really brought out what he was, investigating or was talking about. So, it's a sad situation to see how our leaders, operate. As to the commissioner of police, like I say, this whole scenario, everything will come to light, and as for me, they want to keep him close, right? So they brought him back. They don't want to have. I've said this before. They don't want him to be running around loose, and he might say something or do something that will open a can of worms, because there are a lot of worms, and they thought that they had put the lid on the can of worms, right? So they brought him back so that they could manipulate him, keep on manipulating him. They pull the little strings on him. Remember, don't say this, don't say that. We bring you back. So it's just a matter of time, Mr. Chairman, and I hope that it's sooner rather than later, and so that it doesn't cost the taxpayers much more money. The same item with Mr. Budna and all the atrocities that has been taking place. Back to you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Wade. I go to you, Mr. Brackett.
Thank you very much, Mr. Wade, and thank you, Mr. Chairman, for the opportunity to add something else to the program. With your permission, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to read a part of the Constitution that relates to what the Prime Minister was talking about in your last clip, because that gentleman have a bad tendency of believing that because he is granted the privilege to exercise the executive powers, that the exercise of that executive powers by him or anyone else can trump the Constitution. And I beg to differ, and he should know better.
5 minutes, Mr. Brackett.
Here I go, sir. The Constitution of Belize, holy shucks. What happened to my stuff now? Oh man, I don't know. Okay, just give me 1 second. I'll 17, okay, 12. I want to get to 12 back. That's where I was. 13, 1. One more. Okay. I'm right there. Okay, Mr. Chairman, I'm sorry about that, sir. I was trying to make the stuff legible enough, and I touched the surface of this thing and it just went haywire. I got it now. I hope I don't lose it again, because I'm making the program disjointed. But let me read it. The Constitution of Belize, Section 12, subsection 1, reads as follows. Except with his or her own consent, I'm adding the her there, a person shall not be hindered in the enjoyment of his freedom of expression, including freedom to hold opinions without interference, freedom to receive ideas and information without interference, and when it says without interference, meaning by the government, okay? Freedom to communicate ideas and information without interference, whether that communication be to the public generally or in any or to any person or class of persons, and freedom from interference with his correspondence. What the Prime Minister was talking about them needing to make laws to guide and control or monitor or impact reporters and others who communicate with each other and to the public in general is forbidden of the government to create any laws to transgress the Constitution. The Constitution already, as I read just now, told us that the government has vested in it no such authority, but these guys are going to bamboozle us, go to the House, pass a law, an illegal law at that, an unlawful law at that, if any such thing exists, such as an unlawful law, because if it's unlawful, it's not law. It's just a bunch of paperwork that they go through the process and create a document that, for all intents and purposes, they are hoping will violate the Constitution and override the Constitution. They can't make any law to violate the Constitution, because then that law, to the extent of its violation according to Section 2, is null and void. So how the hell he's going to stand up there with a straight face and tell the reporters then that he and his cabinet and his government is looking into the idea of making laws to restrict their functions as a media to the public, to inform the public? He's crazy, stupid, or you think all of you out there are just a bunch of knuckleheads? The man needs to be brought to account. And we need to stay in his butt and the butt of his cabinet and the rest of his minions in the House of Representatives, because somehow they believe they own the country and they can violate the Constitution and all rights anytime they so wish. I yield back, Mr. Chairman. I have a lot more to say, but I can't monopolize the program. Thank you for the
Thank you, Mr. Brackett.
Bunch of idiots.
Now, after the report was issued to the Prime Minister and he had the discussion, they had agreed that they will do an external investigation. And who did they say would lead it? They will have the Attorney General heading it.
Crazy.
Now, I'm saying this because I want you, the people at home and abroad, to see how this works. I have spoken in clarity, and I want to bring it again to show you the discriminative way that it has been done, because this is not the first time an issue has went to the Attorney General when it comes to protecting their own. And I want to go to the tape.
We have to operate on the basis of, facts, and we have to operate on the basis of a record. We can't operate on the basis of social media, reacting to social media. I think, these matters have been, I think, fully ventilated. I have not heard anything new, any new material on this matter.
Can you say, Minister Fonseca, if in the process of the ventilation, if the full ventilation you spoke of this matter, whether the Attorney General's ministry was consulted, what input they had in it, in the investigation?
Yeah, I think, yes, we discussed this in Cabinet, so I don't want to get into what we discussed, but yes, the answer is yes. The Attorney General's ministry was involved and engaged and provided advice. This is confidential advice to the Prime Minister and to the Cabinet.
I want to stop the tape right here. The Attorney General's office had provided confidential advice, but yet the Attorney General office is the one who will be assigned with this matter. Now, can you, the people at home and abroad, see the conflict of interest that is happening before we even proceed with this? No,
So,
imagine. Go ahead, Mr. Brackett.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to interrupt you, sir, not to contradict or say anything different than what you're specifically saying. I want to say something before I forget it, and it is that how the hell, pardon my French, how the hell the Attorney General, who is supposed to work on behalf of the government and people of Belize, as well as a member of cabinet, be an impartial person to handle something that could quite well be pointing directly at the heart of the Prime Minister? If that were to be the case, that this particular issue revolves around the Prime Minister as being one of the instigators to have caused it to come about, then he is not above the law, and that report should not exculpate him. But as of right now, all previous reports, and I will say all subsequent reports done internally to the government itself and the government agencies such as the police, the Attorney General, and any other governmental entity, will not point that matter to the Prime Minister, even if he were to have been the person that this matter would be pointing towards. They will never do it. So for all intents and purposes, we are just being taken for a ride around in a circle. Okay?
You're right, sir.
Are you back, sir?
That is why I brought this topic tonight. Mr. Wade, you want to add something before I change the subject to show in reality what is happening? I will have to change the subject to show in reality what this government is doing. No, go ahead first, Mr. Wade, because before I do, I want to play a music written by a good friend of mine. It was produced by me and presented by him. And it will be the first time that Belizean people will hear it.
Wow. Wow. It's a treat. It's a treat, Mr. Chairman.
Right.
A treat.
So
Thank you.
let me go to the music you can hear it. Well put together. And I did this for him because we believe that it was the right thing to do.
Through flesh and blood, from morn they toil. No frown of sorrow marks their brow. Come colors of all ethnic clans, unite in this, my Belizean land. Mixing mass when the rain comes down, bending steel beneath the sweating sun, building bridges across the plains. In this, my own Belizean land. If we must build this great domain, to work we must remain. Heaping grain from morn till dusk, from high to lowly land, in trust. No space for lingering, no time to stall. Time will take no dangling at all. So move on up, my people strong. Make Belize proud. Hear her song. From great Sarstool to the proud Rio Hondo, let your strength and spirit boldly show. What if our ancestors could see this blessed land cast aside by thee? How would they turn within their graves, fought so hard for these sacred waves, yet still to see their dreams denied? Let history mark this day, say you did your part. Unfurl your banners high and proud upon this land you call your heart. March onward to the rolling hills, across the grassy plains. Let's walk no march, retard your speed, build Belize from land to sea. From land to sea.
Wow.
Excellent, marvelous.
As I said, that was written by one of my good friends, and I decided to take to task and produce it for him. But gentlemen, let's get back to the program and the discussion, the topic of what was presented tonight. Now, I will play this tape because I want to show ignorance coming from a learned man who knows this Belizean constitution, who knows right from wrong, and who, in my belief, intend to protect the government's wrongdoing as if nothing happened.
When I listened to senators opposite, that it is only if you love a pedophile and support Budna and publicly come out and embrace him that you can rationalize away this
Madam
project.
President, on a point of order, it is quite uncharacteristic of Senator Courtney to go as far in his political posturing to suggest that I or any other senator on this side is in love with any pedophile. The question from me speaking on it is who thief Budna? That no have nothing to do with whether or not he's a pedophile.
Leader of Government Business.
Thank you, Madam President. I no love Budna. I not wear no t-shirt for Budna. I don't like pedophiles. I will not support pedophiles or defend them.
No, you get
No,
it,
answer the question that
people
was
at
asked of him.
home and abroad. He will not support them. He will not defend them. He's telling the world that what was done to him
He's a kleptocrat. Then I say so. Just money talk with him.
is okay. Because he damn well knows as a learned man what these people across the aisle were speaking about. Not the atrocities they claim Mr. Budna did, if he did or not, or is alleged to have did. They are asking a question based on the criminality and the way it has been done by the present government, who tends to want to sweep it under the rug. And here we find someone who's putting that statement out there, as I believe, to defend what happened. Mr. Wade, I go to you.
Mr. Chairman, Mr. Wade, can I beg?
You could take my turn there. Go ahead. Take my turn. Go ahead.
Thank
Then
you,
I'll
Mr.
take yours.
Yes, sir. Okay, sir. Thank you very much. This gentleman, and I'll call the damn name, okay? Mr. Emon Courtney. From the time this government got in position in 2020 until today date that we are having this conversation after he made that pronouncement in the Senate, okay? All his efforts, even though we call him the unelected one, remember? Anybody remember that? The unelected one with so many mega portfolios, bigger portfolios than even the elected people. Why? Because he was advised by Mr. Ashcroft for the Prime Minister to put him somewhere in government so that he can have a view over the Prime Minister's shoulder in regards to how the Prime Minister was going to get those hundreds of millions of dollars to Mr. Ashcroft, okay, that the government supposedly owe. And as soon as his task was completed, he was ready to leave the Senate and leave the government business and go do his private thing because he get the $28 million plus. Okay? So I want to ask him, I have a salient question. Since he milked so much money out of we government over that period of time, both legally and illegally, I'm going to stipulate here tonight, as I know where the skeletons are. And if he wants to sue me, he being one of our premier lawyers, know how to go about doing that for defamation and for whatever else. And you can't be defamed if you are an infamous person with shady character and devious conduct at that. I want to ask the question, why hasn't he, as a patriot of Belize and as a learned person, seen it fit to return to the Belizean treasury the $3.5 million that his father took from the government of Belize under false pretext, and the court ordered him to pay it back, and he died without paying it back because he never had any intention to pay it back for the first time he took it anyhow? How is it that Mr. Courtney, who inherited his father's legacy and riches, material wealth and whatever else not that was shared up among the family, he haven't gotten that many extra millions of dollars out of us, can't find it within his heart as a Belizean, seeing that the government and the people of Belize are in such a dire strait that he could afford to pay that $3.5 million back on behalf of the good name of his father. My question is, how the hell have he not been able to have the heart, the love, the concern for the well-being of our country after he has been afforded all the privileges that he has been afforded? Then he don't come to our Senate and talk craziness about he don't love Budna, he would never defend Budna, he would never, for the same reason why we call him a damn scoundrel. Because he's willing to go and defend Mr. Ashcroft, who milk hundreds of millions of dollars out of treasury, so that free people can have money to feed themselves, for the government can help them to feed themselves. They cut off the country so that they will find the extra money to give Mr. Ashcroft. And this jackal will come and tell us in our face. Mr. Chairman, I better yield back because I'm about to go off the
Thank
rails.
you, Mr. Brackett, Mr. Wade.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As to that individual, one could see clearly once they listened to what he said, one could see clearly on where he stands, right? So I'll say no more on that. I think that if Mr. Budna is classified as such, why hasn't he been arrested for being as such, right? Why is he walking? Why was he walking around? I think for 2 years or 3 years, right? If he knew he was that, why the law didn't take its course, and have Mr. Budna arrested for being what he called him. So, like I say, that individual clearly demonstrated what he will be defending. So, and it's sure not Mr. Budna, right? So, let's
Or the
rest
Constitution, I
that.
believe.
Or the Constitution. Let's rest that. Mr. Chairman, during my existence and my being a member of the police force, I had, the liberty. I won't say liberty, but I have arrested individual for crimes they have committed. I have taken individual to court, right? And there's the process.
Mm-hmm.
There is the way that things should be done. And the way I knew it is that the AG, his name now, Mr. Sylvester, would not have gotten a report from me. My file would have gone to the DPP, right? That's how I know it, right? So you mentioned the pedophile, Mr. Andre Paris, because that's what I class him as, based on what he was allegedly was doing to this female. So Mr. Perez is a PUP.
Different laws.
Mr. Sylvester is a PUP. Mr. Fonseca is a PUP. And who appoints Mr. Sylvester? You think he took a he called when you apply for a job, he went on an interview to see if he was amongst 10, 15 people to get that job? No. He was appointed by Johnny Briseño. And I couldn't have put it in no better form, right? And who is Johnny Briseño? So you think that they will not defend their own to whatever cost, to whatever detriment? So, Mr. Chairman, all this, I am waiting for whatever detriment that these people are willing to consume, right? How they will be, what they are going through, how far they will go to consume their actions, right? And I hope and pray that when the bubble bursts, they all go down. All those who are covering up, all those who was involved, and all those who are making a mockery of the Belizean people, or a mockery of the Belizean name worldwide, because this is not only a Belize thing. So all these, I'm not going to call the name that I want to call these individuals, right? When they demit office, where are they going to run? Aren't they going to have this shame, right? To put in the country and the people through. So I just want to see, Mr. Chairman, how much more that they will consume and how much more they will continue to cover up. Back to you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Wade. I want to say this based on our discussion tonight. I would like to call out the acting commissioner at the time and say to him, you had been the only one who had said that one of the officers was identified and you put him on interdiction. Mr. Jones, come what it may be, I will hope you will stand up, even if it costs you your job, and you can sue the government to get up and tell the world exactly what you know about the Budna's case. Secondly, I want to say to the business senator, while you have your opinion on Mr. Budna, I would love to see you jump up in that same response and say, I want to implement UNCAC to stop people in the present government and past government from stealing from the Belizean people. Because there are a lot of names out there who have taken money from the Belizean people and nothing has done to them.
As well as other physical assets that belong to the Belizean people, for patrimony, as a matter of fact.
These individuals should be ashamed to stand up and classify anybody instead of doing what is right and enforce UNCAC. With that said, Mr. Wade, I go to you for the closing.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. And it's a pleasure sitting in your company. And thank you, Leonard, for for us to be steadfast in speaking out on these important issues when some might think that it's not important because of the level of how it happened. So
thank you, Mr. Wade.
I am glad to be in your company, in both of you company, so that we at some point will go down in history and say, you know what, this is what these guys was talking about. Somebody will play our 360th edition of our Belizean Affairs show. You see what these guys was talking about? They're no longer here, but look, right? These guys were really standing up for justice. So my thing, Mr. Chairman and Leonard, I've always been passionate about equal justice, right? I don't think that no one should be considered a better human being than the other, which is what happens in Belize. There are some of us who are more human than some of us, right? And that's the mentality of the People's United Party and the UDP. When they come into power and run this country, both of them feels like they are better and have their surroundings, their closely knit surroundings, better than the poor and the less fortunate in this country. So they continue to use and abuse us. But, Mr. Chairman, I close with this, right? I say, one day, that all these individuals who think that they will leave this sinful earth without paying for what the bad things that they have done, the illegal things that they have done to people, not to animals, but to people, that one day, before they leave this sinful earth, they will pay for it right here. So, it's an honor to sit in your company. Again, I say that because we speak in defense of justice. We speak in defense of the people and nation. We doesn't speak in defense of wrongdoings like some others entertain wrongdoings be a part of corruption, wrongdoing. No, we are not like that. But the only thing I can say too, quickly, Mr. Chairman, that when they do good, we applaud that they do good to our people, a nation, our people, a nation. We applaud that. So that's one thing that they cannot say, that we always, because that's what I say, you know, Mr. Chairman, we always talking bad and we always denouncing and we all, no, you all are liars. You say that, continue to say that. We talk about the good things that happen and we applaud because that's what the people elected you to do. And like you said, Mr. Chairman, we want to see UNCAC. That's what we want to see. So that a lot of them will start to be arrested and will start to go in front of a judge to clear their names. Right? And on that note, I want to thank you, Mr. Chairman, because you always show and tell. Leonard, you always show and tell. And I hope that the people understand where we are coming from. We know the fight against our people. We are fighting for you so that lives could be better for you, our people, right? So, you know, again, thank you for such a nice program tonight, for show and tell, right? And I hope that the people who watch us could formulate their own opinion, right? And start to be more vocal, because more and more, Mr. Chairman and Leonard, we are showing to the nation and the world the type of people that is and have been governing this country. We call them out. Back to you, Mr. Chairman, and I thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Wade. To you, the people at home and abroad, I want to thank you for tuning into this, our 360th edition of Belizean Affairs. And tonight, we here in Belizean Affairs want to leave you with this.
How are your human rights protected? The European Convention on Human Rights includes freedom of speech, freedom of assembly, right to life, liberty, equality, family life, right to a fair trial, freedom of religion, property, privacy, slavery and human trafficking, torture and ill treatment. These rights are best protected in our own countries. But when there are problems, the European Court of Human Rights provides a safety net. What happens if I think my human rights have been violated? If I have taken my case through the national courts, but I still don't think justice has been done, I can turn to the European Court of Human Rights in Strasbourg. If the court rules in my favour, I can get justice, possibly including compensation. Governments also have to make sure the same problem doesn't happen again. Over 17,000 judgments have been put into practice. This has changed people's lives in many different ways across the whole continent. All this for around 10 cents per